Saluti a tutti, and welcome to this episode of Ciao DMV, Italian American Life in the DMV. My name is Joseph Barone, and I will be your host. This podcast channel is dedicated to all things Italian and Italian American in the DMV, aka DC, Maryland, and Virginia. My focus is on the Italian American experience, from family stories to little known history to business to cultural events, etc. Mostly the good, but sometimes the not so good. Today, I am pleased to have John DeZinno, who is the chair of the Lido Civic Club Scholarship Committee. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Joe. Happy to be here.
I am so glad to have you today. And so, John, why don't we get right into it with the most basic of questions? Tell us about yourself, where you were born, your Italian roots, etc.
Well, I was born in Waterbury, Connecticut. Ended up coming to school down here at Catholic University and basically never left. Found a job out of school, started building a life down here, and turned out to be a good decision.
In fact, if I recall, there is a very large Italian population in Waterbury.
Huge. I grew up in the Italian section of Waterbury called Town Clock.
In fact, my former pastor, when I was living in New York, Joseph Moffo, was from Waterbury.
I knew Father Moffa.
You did? And well, we can chat about that another day, about Father Joe Moffo.
He was from Town Clock.
So,
a lot of folks who ended up down here from that same area.
Yeah.
Even Tom Basuto.
Okay.
The company grew up in Town Clock.
And yeah, Father Moffo was great, a Scalabrinian priest. He was our pastor for 7-8 years. He died, I guess, about 10 or so years ago up in Connecticut. Where does your family come from in Italy, John?
Well, my maternal grandparents are from Sicily, from a town called Termini Emeresi. It's a little east of Palermo on the coast. And my paternal grandparents are from Foggia, from a town called Celenza Valpatore. And I've had the good fortune to visit both villages in the past few years and see the streets where my grandfolks and my ancestors used to walk and where they grew up. And it was kind of a special trip, both occasions.
And do you still keep in touch with any of the relatives?
Well, I have my mother had 9 brothers and sisters, and my father had 7 brothers and sisters. And so we had a very large family. I had more cousins on my mother's side. I had 36 first cousins.
Wow.
Mom's side. And in fact, a couple months ago, I think it was October, we had a cousins dinner. And a bunch of, not all of us, some have passed away, some couldn't make it. I think there were about 19 of us there up in Connecticut, since that's where the majority of them still are. So it was great. I mean, yeah, I still do stay in touch with some of them, but like, all large families, some people you stay in touch with, some you don't, some you like, some you don't like.
I understand that. I hear you on that one. John, in growing up in Waterbury, what were some of the 2 or 3 key family values that you had growing up that you carried on to this day?
Well, like all Italian families, family is everything. It's God, country, family. And we spent a lot of time on Sundays, especially. It was go to church, go visit my grandparents, family dinner after that. Sometimes folks would come to our house. Sometimes we would go to other people's houses. Sundays were a big family day. And so I've got 3 kids now. And in fact, we just had Sunday dinner this past Sunday at our house. We try and do it once a month since they're all 3 all three children have moved out. They're on their own. One is married, three grandchildren. So we try to get together regularly to keep that tradition going. And
That, that's
since I like to cook, it's easy.
that's wonderful, John. That's fantastic that you were able to keep that tradition. It's a little harder for me, even though my daughter lives in the area. My son is in the military and he's currently stationed overseas, so that sort of thing becomes a little bit harder to do.
Mm.
So, John, can you share with us what you do for a living, how long you've been in the business for?
Well, I'm a banker. Been a banker for over 35 years. Kind of an accidental banker since my undergraduate is in architecture. And I came out of school, worked for an architect for a little bit, realized that's not what I wanted to be when I grew up. Had an opportunity to go to work for a builder. Builder's partner bought a bank, dragged me over to a bank ultimately. And here I sit 35 years later. Didn't know anything about banking when I started. Know a little bit more now than I did when I started. Still don't know it all, but it's been a good way to make a life and build a family.
And what aspect of banking do you specialize in?
I deal mostly with real estate, or exclusively with real estate, I should say. Spent a lot of 15 years at Bank of America in their home building division, dealing with privately held home building companies in the DMV. That all imploded in 2008 when housing was the center of the downturn. So I decided that big banks were probably not where I wanted to end up, and have worked for community banks ever since. And currently with a community bank based out of Rochester, New York, that we opened a lending office for down here in Ellicott City.
For listeners who don't may not know, what is a community bank?
A community bank is a smaller sized bank that deals with small business, deals with the consumer on the retail side, deals, depending on their size, might deal with some larger middle market companies, but doesn't have the capacity or the ability to deal with the international companies or the multinationals like Bank of America or JP Morgan Chase would. They more or less have a branch system in a given geographical locale, and they service the needs of that community in that locale.
And what do your clients most appreciate about you and your community bank?
Well, I think what we bring to the table, it is more of a personal service. I mean, all banks claim to provide service, but we can respond pretty quickly to our clients. Our bureaucracy is a lot smaller, so we can navigate decisions a lot easier. And I think our clients appreciate that. In fact, yesterday I had to turn down a request, and I turned it down on the same day it came in. And the gentleman said to me, "That's the second best response I could get is a quick no." In other words, they prefer a yes, but a quick no is just as good as a, a yes, because they don't want to spend time, you know, inefficiently. So that's what we.
Absolutely. 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 So, John, I'd like to now pivot to the Lido Scholarship Committee, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
And my first question to you is, how and why did you become a member of the Lido Civic Club?
Well, that first bank I worked for that I mentioned, we had a building inspector who would inspect our construction loan drawings. And he was a member of the Lido Civic Club. And he said, "Come on, we've got this group here in DC, have some Italian American guys. I think you'd like it. Why don't you come to a meeting?" And I went to my first meeting, and then went to another, and then another, and kind of was able to uh, bond a lot of the guys there. We have similar interests, we had similar backgrounds, and we both were most appreciative of the Italian culture. And so it kind of became a brotherhood of sorts. And I got very active. I held every role in the Lido Civic Club: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, served on the various committee heads of the various committees. And now I chair the scholarship committee for the second time. I had chaired it in the past for a number of years. And then we moved to North Carolina for a year and I had to take a hiatus. And when we moved back, I kind of picked up where I left off with Lido, and about 6 years ago, picked up the scholarship committee again.
So, why did you get involved in scholarship? Is it because you've done everything else and this was kind of what's left? Well, why did you get involved?
Well, no, like I said, this is the second time I've done scholarship. It was something I embraced the first time, and there was a need. Our scholarship chairman was elderly, looking to cut back a little bit, and asked me if I was on the committee. He'd asked me if I'd take it over again. And s- I just have always enjoyed seeing these kids come in, because we not only review scholarship applications, we interview the students. So we get a chance to meet them. Some of them are just amazing, amazing kids. And I kind of enjoyed that process more than anything. It's a big endeavor for Lido. I mean, last year we had almost 40 applications. They come from that you have to live within a 50-mile radius of DC to apply, but you can go to school anywhere in the country. Be that as it may, it's been a it's a it's a very rewarding kind of endeavor, both for Lido and personal. So I think I'm going to do it for a little while longer and see if we can help out some of these kids a little more over the next few years.
You sort of, John, alluded to the process a little bit. Can we take me through the process? Let's say I am a student about to go into college, and I'm of Italian American background. I'm interested in applying. How does the process work?
Well, it's pretty simple, Joe. You get on our website, lidocivicclub.org, and there's a scholarship tab there, and you can click on it. The qualifications are listed, and you can go through the qualification questions to see if you qualify. If you do, it'll take you right to our application. Everything's submitted online. It's really pretty easy. The application is not that difficult. There's a couple essay questions we ask you to fill out. We ask for some financial information because part of our scholarship is need based. And uh, like I said, it's all online. You can come and go. The scholarship window is open now. It's open till March 31st. And so you can go in and fill out the application in pieces up until March 31st and save your work. It's really a pretty simple process. Once the 31st comes, then the real work begins for our committee. And we start reviewing applications. We vet them. We determine who we're going to interview. And then we go through an interview process. Once the interview process is complete, the committee makes award determinations, and then those are communicated to the applicants. That's probably the most fun part of the whole process, is letting the applicants know that scholarships have been awarded. And typically I will make a phone call to each one. Again, Lido is like the community bank uh, of civic organizations, where we prefer to keep it one-on-one rather than just deal with the online process and make it a little colder. And it gives us a chance too, when talking with these kids, to be able to let them know a little bit about Lido and who we are, because scholarship isn't only the only initiative that Lido undertakes.
Mhm.
we do a lot more than scholarship, though scholarship is by far and away our largest initiative.
On average, John, how many people or how many students apply? Given the fact that you've been on the committee twice and over the years, and now the process is online. On average, how many students apply for scholarships each year?
Well, like I said, last year we had almost 40 scholarships that were complete and submitted. There were about 65 that looked like they were in process because I can review online the ones that are in process. That was probably the largest number we've had to date. When we first started this program, uh, we were getting maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 applicants, but we were also giving away a lot less in scholarship assistance. Just as an example, this past year, Lido gave away a total of $135,000 in college scholarships. The first year, we gave away about 6,000. So the program has grown tremendously. To date, we've given the Lido's as Civic Club has given over $1.4 million in scholarship assistance to students. We're really proud of them.
And that's a very, very large amount considering the size of Lido. Lido is not a huge organization, correct?
It is not. We're about 130 active members right now, maybe a little more. But no, we are not a large organization. We are a local organization, like I said, unlike some of the larger national ones. And we provide, relative to our size, a pretty large amount of scholarships.
It's my understanding, John, that Lido also gives money to Sons of Italy to help pay for a partial scholarship. Is that correct?
For the past few years, we've been donating $5,000 in addition to the Sons of Italy scholarship program, or a Lido-sponsored scholarship through them as well. Another, Italian American organization that promulgates the Italian experience in this country.
Now, what would you say is the average scholarship amount?
Oh, we've given away, part of how we determine is based on need. We've given scholarships to students who have gone to community college. We've given scholarships to folks that have gone to Ivy League colleges. Some of those folks, have very little resources. Some have a little more, but our scholarships have ranged from $2,000 to $20,000 probably, and they're all over the board. I can't tell you there's an average because again, we try and base it on what we perceive the need to be after our vetting of the applications.
And each year, is this a one-time scholarship or is this kind of over the course of their education?
Well, the students can reapply every year. We award them annually. Some students will receive scholarships in subsequent years. Some won't. There is no guarantee that just because a student received a scholarship their freshman year that they're going to get it their sophomore year. Because again, it's going to depend on the pool of applicants we have, how much money we have each year to award, and what the needs and qualifications of those students are in any particular year.
Okay. And my understanding is at the end of the process, you've called all the recipients. You said, "Hey, you've got a scholarship, or congratulations. The amount is in X, Y, and Z." What happens after you've told them? Do you have some sort of award ceremony? And how does the money get actually physically distributed? Do they get a check? Does their college get a check? How does it work?
Well, yeah, after we notify them, there's some paperwork they need to fill out to make sure we have the right information on where to send the check. We send the checks directly to the schools, and the schools sign off on the the scholarships. And then in June of each year, we hold a scholarship reception for the applicants and their parents, as well as our members. And it gives our members a chance to meet the applicants and see where their hard work in raising funds has gone, because we rely on our members to help us fund the scholarship program. This past year, our reception was held at the Italian Embassy in Washington. The embassy was kind enough to let us use their facilities for our award reception. Kind of a little special for our applicants to be able to visit the Embassy of Italy. And there are always representatives from the embassy there as well to welcome us, which they've done in years past. We are this year trying to obtain the embassy again for our reception. Typically, that's held on the third Thursday of June. The scholarship process runs through March, takes us 6 weeks or to 8 weeks to go through the vetting and the interviews. So June is a good time before the students disperse for the summer or go away or what have you. It allows us to be able to fit it works with everybody's schedules, I guess I should say. And so again, this year we're hoping to have our scholarship reception at the Embassy of Italy again.
That's excellent. Wow, that'd be fantastic. What a great place to have it at an embassy. That would be fantastic again. So, John, where do you see the scholarship? And this is kind of a future question. Where do you see the scholarship and the scholarship committee going in the next 2 to 5 years? Any future plans?
Well, we've been trying to grow the amount of funds that we can award each year. We do a pretty good job at, and thanks to our members, because our goal is to award as many students as possible scholarship assistance to help them with their educational expenses. Last year, we had 11 recipients. That fluctuates every year. We've had as many as 16 in a given year. So the goal, I think, would be to grow the number of students that we can assist each year. And in order to do that, we have to grow the amount of funds we raise each year. And again, I think we've been doing a pretty good job of that considering where we started. A couple of years ago, we got the program online. That was a big step in advancing the program and allowing us to more efficiently deal with a larger number of students. Prior to that, it was all paper, paper, paper. And it was a Herculean task to keep that organized. And then, applications weren't getting through in the mail, and it was a little bit of a challenge. Since we've gone online, it's become a whole lot more efficient process for everyone, the committee and the students. And so that was a big step forward. Not sure what else we're going to do, but I'm not the smartest person on the planet. I'm sure the person who takes over after me in this job will find a way to grow the program more efficiently and even better.
Now, if anyone has any questions about the scholarship program or maybe even wanting to do banking business with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way is to just get on the website. There's a email address there that will funnel to my personal and my work email. You can reach out, or I can give you my phone number. Happy to take